Would you rather sleep 8 hours from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. or 7 hours from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m.? Most people would choose the 8 hours, right? More sleep equals better rest. But here's what decades of neuroscience research now shows us. You'd actually be healthier, more alert, and live longer with the 7 hours at the right time. When you sleep might be more important than how long you sleep. And today, we're going to explore exactly why. I'm Sergio Popovici, and this is a deep dive into the psychology and neuroscience of sleep timing that will change how you approach your nightly rest. Part 1. The sleep timing mystery for decades. Sleep advice has been simple. Get 7 to 9 hours. Adults need this amount. Teenagers need more. Children need even more. Simple, right? But clinicians and researchers started noticing something strange. Two people could both sleep 8 hours per night, yet one person would thrive while the other struggled with fatigue, mood problems, and health issues. What was the difference? The answer lies not in the quantity of sleep, but in something called circadian alignment, whether your sleep timing matches your body's internal biological clock. A massive 5-year Harvard review, examining over 40,000 studies, found something remarkable. Stable bedtimes were associated with increased alertness, stronger heart health, reduced inflammation, and better outcomes across nearly every dimension of health. Dr. Charles Czeisler, who led this research at Harvard Medical School, emphasized that consistency in sleep timing might be one of the most underappreciated factors in human health. Think about that. Not just how much you sleep, but when you sleep and how consistently you maintain that timing. Part 2. Understanding your circadian rhythm. So what exactly is this circadian rhythm everyone talks about? The term comes from Latin, circa meaning about and dies meaning day, approximately a day, roughly 24 hours. Your circadian rhythm is your body's internal biological clock. It's an endogenous, meaning internally generated oscillation that runs on approximately but not exactly a 24-hour cycle. This isn't just about sleep. Your circadian rhythm controls over 100 different physiological processes. Your circadian rhythm regulates the sleep-wake cycle, obviously, but it also controls core body temperature fluctuations throughout the day. It determines when hormones like cortisol, melatonin, and growth hormone are secreted. It governs metabolic processes and glucose regulation. It influences immune system function and inflammatory responses. It coordinates memory consolidation and brain detoxification. It even controls digestion, gut motility, and when your body repairs and regenerates cells, this rhythm is remarkably widespread. It exists in virtually every living organism, from cyanobacteria to higher plants to mammals like us. Evolution didn't create this system by accident. It's fundamental to survival. Part 3. The master clock in your brain. Here's where it gets fascinating from a neuroscience perspective. Your body doesn't just have one clock, it has millions of them. Nearly every cell in your body contains its own circadian oscillator, a molecular clock that keeps time. But all these peripheral clocks are coordinated by a master clock located in a tiny region of your brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or SCN. This structure sits in your hypothalamus, right above where your optic nerves cross. The SCN receives direct input from specialized cells in your retina called melanopsin-expressing retinal ganglion cells. These cells are incredibly sensitive to blue light and communicate with your master clock via the retinohypothalamic tract. Here's what happens. When light enters your eyes, these special cells detect it and send signals to your SCN. Your master clock then orchestrates all the peripheral clocks throughout your body, ensuring synchronized physiological rhythms. This is why light is the most powerful Zeitgeber, German for time giver, that influences your circadian rhythm. Light doesn't just help you see, it literally resets your master biological clock every single day. Part 4. The two-process model of sleep. To understand why timing matters so much, we need to understand how sleep regulation actually works. Sleep researchers use what's called the two-process model, developed by Alexander Borbély. Process S, sleep homeostasis. This is your sleep drive or sleep pressure. The longer you're awake, the stronger this drive becomes. Think of it like hunger. The longer, since your last meal, the hungrier you get. Adenosine, a neurochemical, builds up in your brain throughout the day, creating increasing pressure to sleep. When you finally sleep, this pressure dissipates. Process C, circadian process. This is your body's internal clock, independent of how long you've been awake. Your circadian process creates windows of high and low sleep propensity throughout the 24-hour cycle. It modulates when you feel alert versus when you feel sleepy, regardless of your sleep debt. These two processes interact to determine your overall sleep-wake pattern. And here's the critical insight. Optimal sleep occurs when process S, your sleep drive, and process C, your circadian timing, are properly aligned. You can have high sleep pressure, but if your circadian rhythm is telling your body it's time to be awake, you'll sleep poorly. Conversely, you might not be particularly tired, but if your circadian rhythm says it's sleep time, you'll fall asleep easily and sleep deeply. Part 5. Why timing beats duration. Now we can understand why when you sleep matters more than how long. Optimal hormone secretion, growth hormone, which is crucial for tissue repair and regeneration, is primarily secreted during the first deep sleep cycles of the night. If you're sleeping during your circadian night, roughly 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. for most people, you get robust growth hormone pulses. If you're sleeping outside this window, growth hormone secretion is diminished. Cortisol, your primary stress hormone, follows a specific circadian pattern. It should be lowest around midnight and begin rising in the early morning hours to prepare your body for wakefulness. When you sleep at irregular times, cortisol can be released at inappropriate times, causing inflammation, blood vessel strain, and impaired glucose regulation. Enhanced memory consolidation. Memory consolidation, the transfer of information from short-term to long-term memory, occurs primarily during specific sleep stages that are most robust when you sleep during your circadian night. Research shows that sleeping at the wrong circadian phase impairs this consolidation, even if sleep duration is adequate. Effective brain detoxification. Your brain has a waste clearance system called the glymphatic system, which is most active during sleep. This system clears metabolic waste products, including amyloid beta proteins implicated in Alzheimer's disease. A 2025 study from the University of Tsukuba found that people with more consistent sleep schedules showed higher levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor and lower accumulation of toxic proteins. Metabolic optimization. Your body's ability to regulate glucose is circadian dependent. Eating or being awake when your body expects sleep causes metabolic dysfunction. Studies show that the same meal eaten at different times of day produces different glucose and insulin responses. When you sleep at the wrong time, you're forcing metabolic activity during a period when your body expects rest, leading to insulin resistance over time. Part 6. The health consequences. The research on irregular sleep timing is sobering. Let's look at what happens when you consistently ignore your circadian rhythm. Cardiovascular disease. Irregular sleep disrupts blood pressure regulation and increases systemic inflammation. When sleep timing is inconsistent, the body may release stress hormones like cortisol at the wrong times, straining blood vessels and impairing glucose regulation, which can contribute to hypertension and chronic inflammation. Cancer risk. This one is startling. The World Health Organization classifies chronic circadian disruption, such as what night shift workers experience, as a probable carcinogen. The mechanism involves disrupted DNA repair processes and impaired immune surveillance that normally occurs during circadian-aligned sleep. Cognitive decline and dementia. The University of Tsukuba study tracking 458 older adults found that those with more consistent sleep schedules showed stronger thinking skills and higher levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, while disrupted rhythms have been linked to accumulation of amyloid beta, a toxic protein implicated in Alzheimer's disease. Metabolic syndrome and diabetes. Irregular sleep timing interferes with glucose metabolism and can lead to insulin resistance. Even in healthy young adults, just 1 week of circadian misalignment can push glucose levels into pre-diabetic ranges. Mental health disorders. An irregular circadian rhythm can result in mood disorders such as depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and seasonal affective disorder. Studies of shift workers show that misalignment of the circadian rhythm provokes anxiety, with nurses experiencing shift work disorder showing increased anxiety scores on questionnaires. Longevity. Dr. Mir Krieger, professor emeritus at Yale, states it plainly. Those who keep regular sleep schedules live longer than those who don't. Part 7. Chronotypes. Larks, owls, and everything between. Not everyone's circadian rhythm is identical. You've probably heard of morning people and night owls. These aren't just preferences, they're genetically determined. Circadian phenotypes called chronotypes. Morning larks. Early chronotype. These individuals have circadian rhythms that run slightly faster than 24 hours. They naturally feel sleepy earlier in the evening and wake easily in the early morning. Their peak cognitive performance occurs in the morning hours. Night owls. Late chronotype. These people have circadian rhythms that run slightly slower than 24 hours. They don't feel sleepy until late at night and struggle to wake early. Their peak performance occurs in the afternoon and evening. Intermediate types. Most people fall somewhere in the middle with moderate flexibility in their sleep timing. Here's what's important. A morning type orientation is associated with longer weekly sleep duration, better subjective sleep quality, and shorter sleep onset latency. While research suggests night owls may have greater predisposition to psychological disturbances, partly because different circadian types adopt different coping styles to emotional stressors. But here's the crucial point. This doesn't mean night owls are doomed. The problem isn't being a night owl, it's being a night owl forced to live on a morning lark schedule. The mismatch between your biological clock and your social obligations creates what researchers call social jet lag. Part 8. Common sleep timing disorders. Understanding these disorders helps illustrate why timing matters so much. Delayed sleep phase syndrome. People with DSPS can't fall asleep until very late, often 2 to 4 a.m., and struggle to wake at conventional times. They're not insomniacs once they fall asleep. They sleep normally. The problem is, their circadian rhythm is shifted several hours late. These are extreme night owls, living in a morning lark world. Advanced sleep phase syndrome. The opposite pattern. People fall asleep very early 6-8 p.m. and wake extremely early to 4 a.m., more common in older adults. Shift work sleep disorder. This occurs when people work evening shifts or have irregular shift schedules that disturb their normal 24-hour sleep-wake cycle, causing extreme fatigue and greater risk for workplace injuries and cognitive impairment due to an average of 4 hours or less sleep per night. Non-24-hour sleep-wake disorder. Most common in blind individuals who lack light input to their master clock. Their sleep-wake cycle runs on their natural circadian period, often 24.2 to 24.5 hours, causing them to sleep progressively later each day. Part 9. WHY. Catching up on weekends doesn't work. Many people think they can sleep poorly during the week and catch up on weekends. Unfortunately, circadian biology doesn't work that way. When you sleep dramatically different hours on weekends versus weekdays, you're essentially giving yourself jet lag every single week. Your body's circadian rhythm starts adjusting to your weekend schedule. Then you force it back to your weekday schedule. This constant shifting prevents your system from ever achieving stable. Research shows that this social jet lag pattern is associated with increased obesity risk, higher rates of depression, impaired cognitive function, increased cardiovascular disease risk, and poorer academic and work performance. The solution isn't sleeping more on weekends, it's maintaining consistency across all 7 days. Part 10. Practical optimization strategies. So how do you optimize your sleep timing? Here are evidence-based strategies that actually work. First, determine your chronotype. Be honest about whether you're naturally a lark, owl, or intermediate. Don't fight your biology more than necessary. Second, maintain consistency. Stable bedtimes and rise times are related to better sleep quality, and stability of bedtime and rise time is considered key for proper entrainment of the circadian system, which is why structured sleep schedules are a central target of behavioral treatments for insomnia. Go to bed and wake at the same time every day, yes, including weekends. Variation of more than 1 hour creates circadian disruption. Third, use strategic light exposure. Get bright light exposure, preferably sunlight, within 30 minutes of waking. Aim for at least 30 to 60 minutes of outdoor light during the day. Dim lights 2 to 3 hours before bedtime. Eliminate blue light from screens 1 to 2 hours before sleep. Keep your bedroom completely dark during sleep. Fourth, manage your temperature. The optimal sleep temperature is roughly 63 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit, 17 to 28 degrees Celsius. Your body's core temperature needs to drop to initiate sleep, so a cool environment facilitates this process. Fifth, time your exercise appropriately. Vigorous workouts close to bedtime can interfere with falling asleep. Schedule intense exercise earlier in the day, ideally in the morning or afternoon. Sixth, understand that meal timing matters. Meal timing and composition significantly affect sleep quality. It's advised to avoid large meals, caffeine, and alcohol before bedtime, as heavy meals close to bedtime can lead to poor sleep and hormone disruption. Finish eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. Your digestive system also follows circadian rhythms and expects rest at night. Seventh, use alarms strategically. Wake at the same time, even after a late night, to help anchor the circadian clock. This is more important than getting extra sleep on a particular day. Finally, consider melatonin supplementation with caution. For some people with circadian disorders, low-dose melatonin, 0.3 to 0.5 milligrams taken 2 to 3 hours before desired bedtime, can help shift circadian phase, but this should be done under professional guidance. Part 11. Special considerations for shift workers. If you must work night shifts, try to maintain the same sleep schedule on your days off. Use blackout curtains and consider melatonin supplementation. Recognize that this work pattern carries health risks and take extra care of other health behaviors. For travelers, gradually shift your sleep schedule before travel. Use light exposure. Strategically bright light in the morning shifts your clock earlier. Bright light in the evening shifts it later. For parents of young children, babies and young children don't have fully developed circadian rhythms. By helping establish consistent bedtime routines early, you're helping their circadian systems develop properly. For older adults, around age 2 to 4 months, babies start to sync with the natural light-dark cycle, and by toddlerhood, most kids follow a more predictable circadian rhythm. During puberty, circadian rhythms shift later, while older adults may notice their circadian rhythm changing with age, going to bed earlier and waking earlier as a typical part of aging. Conclusion. Let's bring this all together. Your body runs on a sophisticated internal timing system that has evolved over millions of years. This circadian rhythm coordinates hundreds of physiological processes, from hormone secretion to immune function to brain detoxification. When you sleep matters because these processes are time-dependent. You can't just move them to any arbitrary hour and expect the same results. Sleeping 8 hours from 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. is not equivalent to sleeping 7 hours from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Even though the first has more total sleep time, the research is unambiguous. Consistent sleep timing aligned with your natural circadian rhythm is associated with better cardiovascular health, reduced cancer risk, improved cognitive function and lower dementia risk, better metabolic health, improved mood and mental health, and longer lifespan. The single most important thing you can do for your sleep: maintain consistency. go to bed and wake up at the same time every single day. I'm Sergiu Popovici, and I create this content to help you understand the psychological and neurological mechanisms that govern human behavior and health. I'm based here in Munich, Germany, and I'm always interested in discussions about psychology and human optimization. If you found this analysis valuable, if you have questions, or if you'd like to discuss this topic further, I'm contactable through the links in the description. Whether you're dealing with sleep issues yourself, you're fascinated by circadian biology, or you work in a field where understanding human performance matters, I'd love to hear from you. Remember, your sleep timing isn't just about feeling rested tomorrow. It's about optimizing every biological system in your body, protecting your long-term health, and potentially adding years to your life. Start tonight. Pick a consistent bedtime. Stick to it for 30 days. Your circadian rhythm and every system it controls will thank you. Subscribe for more evidence-based psychology content. And until next time, sleep well and sleep consistently.